Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are sitting down on another episode of the Mindset Monday series with my co-host. Wow.
I mean, Gio was into it.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing? Come on, that was
It was
wild,
great, man.
dude.
Thank you.
That was wild in a very...
Unpredictable.
Exactly.
Outcome.
You were not expecting it.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. You were not. It was almost chaos.
Yes. I never know what to
chaos,
expect.
Which
it
leads me
happens.
to the topic of the Mindset Monday episode that we have today, all right?
So convenient.
Convenient, right?
Yeah.
Crushed it. I don't care what you think.
No, it's brilliant.
So here's the thing. Like, one of the things that's going around in our heads right now it's the what happens or what to do when the wheels are falling off, or at least when we feel like the wheels are falling off. Anything that we're doing, the business, we feel like there's chaos around us. Right now, we're in a brand new podcast studio. Just set it up yesterday. But if you look outside the door, I mean, there's boxes, there's people moving, there's chaos everywhere, shit everywhere, right? Business can very much be like that a lot of the times. So. So what we're contemplating this morning is like, okay, what's the best course of action, right? At this point, there's times where we go to the drawing board and we're there, far too often. We're trying to strategize and implement, do these things that, can really move the needle and whatnot, right? But at the end of the day, like, there's only a handful of things that if we focus on those, we can always go back and then just regroup, which a lot of times that's what's needed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, even if there's not chaos going on, if growth is stunted, if you've hit a ceiling, and I believe that if you're not growing, you're decaying, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're experiencing some stagnation in your business, there's not a lot of difference between that and the chaos. Like, at the end of the day, the solution's the same. So.
Yeah. So again, going back to it, right? Like, for example, it's for me right now. Over the last couple of weeks, moved offices. I redesigned the entire way that I do business, operations wise. That throw in a whole new building, a new office space, and just getting everything lined up and all that stuff. I mean, it's easy to get overwhelmed. And then throw traveling, because I had to do a couple of speaking engagements throughout in Dallas and then Tampa, and I mean, it's been a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to get super noisy. It's easy to get distracted. I mean, I'm not even gonna mention that. But what's the best way to just kind of recollect your thoughts? I think it comes back to, and I know it's gonna sound maybe silly, right, to a degree, but it really comes down to basics. Yep. Like, where thinking about, okay, what's the first thing that I need to think about today? What are the basic concepts or fundamentals, right, of everything that we do, and getting a decent hold on that. I think often it's forgotten how much it's going to help us move forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's awesome power in fundamentals. If you think about it, when you start off in business, to get to the point where you have chaos or the wheels are falling off or you've hit a ceiling, like, congratulations, you made progress. And so a lot of times we can lose sight of those fundamentals because we're past that. I already know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready for the next thing.
I'm too good for that.
Yeah. It's like...
It's basics.
Right. And so many entrepreneurs are looking for like the new, the shiny, the thing that's going to stimulate them, right? As like the key to the success. And it's like, actually, it's quite the opposite. Stop paying attention to dumb shit. Go back to bare basics. And what didn't you master, right? Because like a lot of times people, when they hear something they think they already know, they instantly check out. I'm like, I already know that. It's like, but do you? Because there's a difference between knowing something and understanding something, right? Like, knowingness is you heard a thing and you memorized it. Okay, cool. But you don't really understand a thing until you've experienced it. So what fundamentals do you know of, but you don't truly understand because you haven't implemented it. You haven't acted on it, right? So, like, I believe the most successful people are eternal students. They're always learning. They're always 100%. Growing, right? And because if you think you've arrived or you've made it, like, that just goes to show that you haven't. You know what I mean? Because you're never going to arrive anywhere other than death. But anyways, like, you got to bring it back to the bare bones and like, okay, what's missing? Because if you take a look at your problems in the business, the holes, and you trace that back, it's a lack of like a foundational, bare basic, fundamental that was never implemented because it was overlooked as seemingly insignificant. But now it is the source and root cause of the issue in your business. Like, it's very simple. So, something as simple as KPIs. Do you have the right metrics?
Are you paying attention to the right things, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we go business-wise, we're looking at KPIs. If we go, mindset and at an individual level, there's also certain things that we're going to be looking at, right? Are you even in the lane that fulfills you as a human being,
totally.
Right? Like, before we even get into KPIs or metrics, are you even in the right,
Yeah, what should you be focusing on?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Like,
I'll give you an actual
right
example.
Industry.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
are you playing in the right, field?
Are you in the right field? Yeah, are you playing the right sport?
Dude, it's mind-boggling, really, how far we can go, and I've done that in the past. We can go right months and years into this one space, and now we're focused on this one space. It's not even the calling. It's not even the thing that makes us smile. It's not even the thing that.
But it's got to get done. So
that
we
gives
go
us
do it.
a sense of fulfillment and joy, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you throw in some other layer of whatever, and then some other layer of KPIs and accountability and all that stuff. And
Just
now
lost.
we're focused on accountability and all that stuff. But the basic, the fundamental. Point of origin is not even the right one. We're playing we're playing baseball. We hate baseball and we love soccer.
Well, not only that, but not only the point of origin,
I mean?
but the intent behind the action to accomplish it is not the highest and best. Because if it's not your lane, if it's not your lane of genius and bliss and fulfillment, like, yes, you can produce a result.
Yeah.
However, it's not going to be nowhere in comparison to somebody of like, that's what excites them. It's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Like, the result they'll produce is going to be so much greater, like the highest and best outcome. And in my organization and in my brokerage, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know my role very well, and I know my lane, and I find myself getting out of my lane. Yeah. And so one thing that it's not my strong point, it's actually kind of my weakness, is the individual connection and relationship. I mean, it just is. My natural tendency is driver, visionary, results, coaching for performance, and all of these kinds of things to unlock people's potential. But like, there's that piece of touchy-feely and emotions that's missing right now. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's fundamental for community. I mean, we have, I think, like an amazing
connection.
culture than any other brokerage out there. And yet that's still missing. And imagine what it would be with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we've had it at times. However, it wasn't led by me. Because that's not my strength, it's my weakness. Like, why am I going to go work hard on my weakness when I could double down on my strength?
This is pretty interesting. Man, I don't have with me. Gio, can you look at a post that it's a story that I dropped yesterday. I don't know if it's still on there. Let me see if you can see it on your phone. But I'll pick up. I mean, I read every single day, right? And yesterday, I'd like to go back to Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. I love that book.
Really?
Yeah.
It keeps coming to my awareness. That's so strange.
Dude, it's. I mean, I've read it for years. Where I open it up and then I'll look at a passage of it, and it's, you can't read it. The thing is not linear, but it's
so
like
bizarre.
It speaks to me, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, yesterday I opened it and I had I had this same thought, this same conversation. Okay, cool. Like, everything's kind of, all over the place. I feel a little, spread, thin right now. And there's a lot of stuff going on, things that I need to focus on. There's fires going. There's stuff that, is kind of handling itself, but there's still, my attention is, spread out.
Yeah.
Then I opened that up and there was a really good passage. I'll see if I can pull it up right now and I'll read it. But
how bizarre, man.
The idea or the thing is to go back to those same questions and be self-aware, right, of the stuff that at the end of the day, it's gonna be the beginning, the basic building blocks of everything that we're doing. Did you find it? Can you see it? All right. So check this out. I'm going through this conversation of clarity in my head and, okay, what should I do? What's the next step? Mm-hmm. Is everything in alignment? And this pops up, right? This Meditations 3.12 from Marcus Aurelius. And it says, If you work at that which is before you, following right reason seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you, but keeping the divine within you pure, as if you should be bound to give it back immediately. If you hold to this, expecting nothing, fearing nothing, but satisfied with your present activity according to nature, and with heroic truth in every word and sound that you utter, you will live happily. And there is no man who is able to prevent this. How crazy is that?
That's the highest state of being we could conceive.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So the thank you, Joe. So like the message just came through yesterday. It was super solid, and it's exactly along those lines, right? When everything the wheels are falling off, and you know it really sums up to this, right? If you feel like there's chaos, there's a lot of stuff happening. One, it's an indicator of activity. Activity is good. It means you're alive. It means there's opportunity. It means there's pieces moving that we can come in and work from. Two is work with what you have in front of you. A lot of times that's going to be the basic principle is going to get you to that next thing, right? And it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get like
or look at what you don't have
much,
available
so
to
much
you.
in the taskiness of things and gets stagnant because we don't have it all laid out. Like, no, just take action, whatever it is that you have in front of you. Do the best that you can at that one thing. That's going to open up a different door. It's going to open 100%. Up a different thought, open up a different opportunity, right?
Well, besides that, or in addition, rather, like you don't need all those other things because you haven't taken that next step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's right in front of you. Why don't you take that step? And in fact, we've discussed this before early on in the podcast. Like that's one thing I'm really grateful about myself is that I don't sit down and strategize about 100 steps that it's going to take. I just take the first one. And then lo and behold, step 2 unfolds for me. And like the path is illuminated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're in motion, being in that state of being, like that's powerful.
You know what happens too at a psychological level? To take action, we have to align action, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can't, if I decide now that I want to take action, I want to go have some tacos, right? Like the idea
that's very real, people.
For some reason, it's tacos is the first thing I thought.
Yeah,
of.
weird.
Yeah, don't judge me. Listen, you find your bliss wherever you need to find.
Hey, I find bliss in tacos.
Tacos are bliss.
They are. That's true. Yeah.
But okay, so bear with me. It's the first example that I thought. Anyways, but okay, now I have this idea, right? Like, and then the plan starts to come together. Right, because I had this decision, this intention of taking action.
Yep.
What happens? Okay, I have to get out of the podcast room. I have to walk over to my car. I have to turn the thing on. I have to drive a couple blocks down where this cool taco stand is. The one I like going.
So
whatever.
You know of one around here?
Yes.
Of course you do.
Like normal. No, I. That's not a.
And I trust you too, because
I have KPIs.
I've eaten raw
and
seafood out of the back of a pickup truck in Mexico with this guy.
But the thing is this, right? Like before the idea and the intention of doing that, like I don't know what the next 15, 20 minutes are going to look like. It's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in everything that we do.
100%.
If you're putting together a marketing campaign, I don't know what marketing campaign to do. I don't know what where to lean into it. Like make an intention, create a decision on something, right? That thing's gonna start to shape into the steps that you have to figure out. And I feel like a lot of times we get so much into the weeds of getting stuff dialed in, and maybe some action happens, and then you have new challenges, and you're caught up, and I'll speak for myself on this. It's easy to get caught up in the micro stuff, in the micro, fires that keep popping up. Yeah, exactly. So it almost feels like, spinning wheels, but in reality, there's a lot of pieces moving. So when we feel convoluted, when we feel confused, take a breath. Take a second. Go back to basics. Go back to your fundamentals. What was the big picture? What was the big idea, right, behind this whole thing? And then treat it as if you're just getting into it fresh.
100%. So
that works.
I think people can
1000%
easily
works.
gloss over what you just said because it's seemingly insignificant. It's simple, right? But there's so much tremendous power in that, because if you find yourself lost in the weeds, think about it. That really means you're down in it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're the technician. And there's a time and place for that.
Yeah.
But if you're getting stressed and you find yourself anxious and not productive and like you're just spinning your wheels, like that's the cue to like stop, as you said, take a deep breath, pull back. Like you got to get the elevated perspective of the entire situation. And at that point, I read a book by Lou Holtz. It's called Win, I believe. It was
Win?
many years ago. Yeah.
Win.
And it's an acronym. What's important now? I mean, he's the most winningest college football coach in history, as far as I was told, at least at the time of the book. So, like, that's how he won. And that's how he coached his players. What's important right now? What's just one thing? You know what I mean? And if you sit down for a minute, like, that's so self-evident, right? So instead of being lost in the details, pull back, recenter, reapproach it as if it's brand new. And at some point, you know, someone's got to be that visionary anyways and maintain that, because after all, like, you enroll community and support and tribe to move the needle forward by being able to help them see the vision and the why behind it, where we're going, what are we doing, right? Like, and at the end of the day, if you're the CEO, that's your role, that's your lane. And so if you're stuck in the weeds, like, you're the bottleneck. You know, get out of there.
You know what's crazy too? It's I feel like there's sometimes this friction that we create because we have. If you're an entrepreneur, more than likely you're addicted to forward movement, right? You're addicted to progress. And like I don't want to be. I don't want to feel like I'm in the same spot I was yesterday, right? Like that creates anxiety. It creates a. I mean, it's just a total, mind fuck. But
I thought I was alone.
But yeah, exactly. It's not just you, or not just me. But the crazy thing is I really cool experience. This last weekend, I got to meet Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, man.
It's like I turned 5 years old in a fraction of a second. I saw the guy. I was like, oh my God.
It doesn't take that for that to happen. But.
Dude. Walk around like that. But, and then I got to spend some one-on-one time with him, about 20, 30 minutes backstage before he went on and did his thing. And he was sharing, how mentorship helped him out through a lot of things, and his ego was huge when he was crushing it, and he was the man in the wrestling world and everything. And then this other dude, Andre the Giant, kept kicking his ass. He was just bigger and whatnot, but he was like his the older guy, like the guide, right? After a few years, he decided to come to senses, and left his ego aside, and then Andre the Giant showed him really what the wrestling show business was all about, right? How to build the relationships, how to keep your body, and it's so it's not all beat up and torn up, and have those conversations and do better, negotiate better deals, and so he became his mentor, right? The crazy thing is he moved on. So it's really cool sitting down with the guy who's a legend, right? And was like childhood hero.
Well, yeah, he's a childhood hero, man.
Yeah,
like, how cool is that?
And he's breaking down, this whole process of how he started, from being a wrestler to doing some, movies and that sort of thing, and then different ventures. Now he owns a couple bars and everything. He goes, every time I get into something that I don't understand, and I go back to those who can point me in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not about getting overwhelmed or getting lost in the weeds. It's like I'll find somebody who's smarter than me, and then sit down, and then they'll give me the right questions to ask myself, which is in my head that translates to just sitting down with the whatever big picture you have, then synthesizing it all the way back down, right? Sometimes it can feel like we're moving backwards, but we're really not. It's a lot of times the process of creation takes multiple passes. Mona Lisa took 18 years to happen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you do.
Yeah,
but and I feel like because of the fact that we're always moving so fast as entrepreneurs, we get caught up. Our mind goes everywhere, our doubts go everywhere, and we just allow it to let loose, right? And that can be a scary thing sometimes. Just if you're listening, understand that you have the power to bring it all back down. You have the power to sit down with yourself, take a breath, and then recollect your thoughts. It's sitting down with the basics. Go back to the fundamentals. Okay, if I was starting this whole thing all over again, if it was day one of whatever I'm being overwhelmed by, what would that look like? Day one, like what's a the prospect here? Like, what's the outlook?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's that assessment, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, where am I right now in results and all of that? Like, just take an assessment, an honest self-assessment of like, okay, here I am, point A. Where is it that I wanted to be? Is that still in alignment with me? Is that really still where I'm going, right? And then it's very simple. Like, if you sit down and you ask yourself, what stupid things am I doing to completely screw up my success? Like, it'll become self-evident. If you really want to know the answer.
List.
Yeah, and it's very simple. It's like, okay, because success is a shitty teacher. Like Hulk Hogan, like, you became successful, right? Like, you don't learn much from that.
Yeah.
You learn from mistakes. You learn from what didn't work. And now you're more resourced. Yeah, so it's like, okay, what's not working? That's what I need to stop doing. Okay, what needs to get done that I'm not doing? Let's start doing that. You know what I mean? It's like, what do I got to start doing, stop doing, keep doing? And it's so simple because we think the answer must be so complex and external, and it's not. It's just coming back to the basics. And one more thing I want to say, because I'll forget. What you said about like Hulk Hogan, and then the Undertaker kind of mentored him. It's like
Andre the Giant.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Come on, get your shit straight.
I don't know.
Wow.
Okay, so anyways.
Gio, can we edit him?
Yeah, just delete that
the
part.
podcast. No, delete
I
you.
just insulted a lot of
Let's just get Justin out
fans.
of the podcast.
So, anyways, before I was interrupted, so I know this couple, and this guy's a serial entrepreneur and a really cool man, and his wife was telling me, you know what I love about my husband is that he's always wanting to be lone man on the totem pole. Like, he's such a great student. He'll go in with somebody that's successful. He's willing to start at the bottom and work his way up and own a business that's that, because now he has the experience. And then when he's mastered that, he goes to another business and he starts at the bottom. He's willing to be that kind of student. It's like, man, most people, when they get to the top, they want to stay there. And they're so afraid of getting knocked off their throne that they end up imploding, getting knocked off, whatever the case is. Like, that which you run from, you run into. But anyways, it's same thing. Like, you got to be humble enough to say, okay, maybe, just maybe, it's me. Because if you're willing to own that, you have 100% control over you, and you get to change that.
Here's the thing too. It's I feel like, I mean, if we're completely honest, it's not even about being humble. It's about being smart. Like, again, creating something, sometimes it takes multiple passes. I don't know if you ever try to draw something, right?
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know, put some furniture together. Like, it's you hardly ever get it
without
right
the instructions, right?
Yeah. On the first pass, you go back and then it's the same thing, right? And what happens? I mean, and like, I'm the guy that never reads the manual either. Like, if if I'm putting together something, I can handle it. I'll figure it out. It's like an adventure.
Yeah.
But
you get 3/4 of the way through and you realize something was backwards.
It's like,
damn it,
okay.
I gotta start over.
Now I gotta take the whole thing apart and whatever. What happens? You go back to basics every single time. So we'll go back to basics on the simple little things. And when it comes down to the important stuff in life, when it comes down to leaving our ego aside and actually getting objective about moving forward and clarifying our thoughts, giving ourselves that honest conversation internally of whether or not we're even in the right place, right? Are we operating from the right space? We will not. We'll do everything to prove ourselves right about being failures, about being, unworthy, about being all kinds of shit, right?
It's a self-sabotage.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, like, if you have an honest conversation with yourself and you go back to basics, you create first you got to be aware for anything to happen. If you're asking yourself, is this right? I mean, you already have the awareness, right?
Yeah.
So the next thing, that comes along with it is you have to identify what that is. Then, I mean, we can break down a simple framework right now of just, the thought process. But it's important to give it that attention. It's important to give it that importance.
And take a break before you get into that.
Yeah.
Like, de-stress, clear that off, get to a space of neutral energy, emotions, good, bad, right, wrong. Just, yeah.
Oh, I don't have an hour. I don't have 2 hours to sit down and then, trust me. Like, the Chief Beasley back at the fire department, or when I was in fire academy, he would tell us, slow is fast, fast is slow. Slow is fast, fast is like, what?
There's so much truth in that.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, but as a kid, you're like, what?
Exactly. Yeah. So as you're moving fast, super fast, your thought process and your your mind just goes all over the place.
Incoherent.
Yeah, exactly. So we get sloppy. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But if you take a second to think about your actions, you're not going to have to come back and redraw the thing so often because you're more cognizant about it.
Yeah.
You're more aware of it. We have this simple framework. If you want to, we can break it down.
Yeah, go for it.
But if you're looking at how to go back to basics, how to find out whether or not the chaos around you even makes sense for the life that you want to live, for the space that you want to operate in. The first thing is going to be awareness. It's always awareness. We've said it a billion times in the podcast. Awareness is going to be at the center of everything. We're not aware, nothing else happens, right? However, if you or with that being said, if you have questions about where you stand in life, you're aware that something is off, right?
Yeah. Well, and then real quick about the awareness of like what that quote you just read off about from Marcus Aurelius. If the process in and of itself is not fulfilling, like you don't derive happiness from that, you're not in your lane. Like if it's work, if it's a grind, and you don't enjoy that, there's something to be aware of. Like that's not for you.
Yeah.
Like people think that the fulfillment and happiness comes when they reach the success, and it's like no. It's in the day-to-day process of what you do that's the fulfillment, and that's how you create the success.
Yeah.
It's backwards. So
you hear the background noise?
Yeah. Wow.
That's chaos outside that door.
Yeah,
that's
but
what it is.
You know what? It's just noise. Like haters.
We're aware of the chaos outside the door. So now the next thing is identifying, right? Okay. So you have the awareness that something is off. Maybe you don't know exactly where you want to get to or what that's going to look like, the ultimate picture of the life that you want to live or whatever, right? Like all that stuff I feel like comes in due time. We're evolving creatures, so that's going to evolve along with us as we move down through life. But it doesn't stop you from identifying what's holding you back, what the problem is. For example, right? Being overwhelmed by this is me over the last week or so, being overwhelmed by the move and everything that's going on. Okay, it wasn't. I try to identify it like, no, it's I have to take furniture and have to do this and then rebuild a podcast studio and do all that stuff. Yeah, that's the taskiness of things. But really, what was creating anxiety was the change. It wasn't necessarily the physical move.
But not just the change. What comes with change?
Well, I mean, it's uncharted territory. I mean, it's
unknown.
It's the unknown. So here, and this is, I mean, the reason I bring that up is because I want you guys to really pay attention in identifying or really focus on identifying what the real factor is. It's usually not going to be something I don't know. It's not going to be a building. You know what I mean? It's going to be something that comes along with that setting. For example, for me, the change is being in my office by myself and then doing my thing in my own, just
comfort.
Yeah, and exactly, to moving into this space where I have partners and we're doing things that are a lot bigger than what I'm used to doing on a regular basis. So it's not the building, it's not the podcast studio, it's not any of that stuff. By the way, the building turned out great. We have a grand opening on Thursday. So you know what I mean? It's the thing for it. When I sat down and really, embraced identifying it, was like, oh shit, it's the change that comes along with that.
Yeah.
It's the way that, new things are going to be happening, new accountability. Now, sharing control of what happens is a big thing, right? Why? Because I'm used to being something happens, I move, I push a button, I move something, and then something happens. Why? Because I'm in control of my company. When it's a partnership and it's a team effort, that changes, right? So
completely different dynamic.
Yeah, completely different dynamic. It's like, oh shit, now I got to share the toys.
So it's so you're stepping into the unknown, and you no longer have complete control.
Yeah.
What is not scary about that?
Yeah, exactly. Or it's not. So what I'm trying to get to again, it's not the building, it's not the move, it's not the furniture of the podcast studio, right? The anxiety and all that stuff just kind of feels a little heavy on the back end. Yeah. It's that. But unless you give it a respectful amount of time and attention, you're not going to figure out what that thing is for you if you're feeling overwhelmed.
No, you're just walking around frustrated.
You're going to label it. You're going to label it as this person at work. Oh, this whatever. Blame. You're going to label it something superficial, which is going to be a load of bullshit, unless you really dive into it.
Well, not only that, but you're externalizing the issue when really it's me. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So good for you, man.
Going back to basics, right? Like, okay. so for me, I had to ask myself what's the big picture? What's the and this whole thing, why am I doing this? What's the big picture, behind the entire move? I clarified that, came back to terms like, okay, cool, okay, game on. Now it's clear in my head. What happened? All the anxiety and all that stuff, not anxiety, but like the heaviness of everything that I was feeling just kind of dissipated.
Yeah.
It really it did, because I'm looking at the big picture. And then I'm looking at, Marcus Aurelius talking to me through a book. And it's, okay, like, I'm going to focus on this. It's the perfect message at the perfect timing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's.
Well, I want to also kind of plug something right quick. It's like, good for you, man. Like, that's just one of the many things that I respect about you is your willingness to be courageous, to act in the face of fear. Like, it's scary, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because if you didn't change anything and you stayed in control and, you as the top, right? Like, how much are you really going to grow? Are you really going to get to that point B that you truly desire, that you really want? Because what you just did was you stepped into the unknown to now, in effect, grow you 300%. There's 3 of you now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's possible now? Yes, I relinquished some control for the sense of scalability. And if you think about it, like, now you've got a mastermind. It's not just you, because 1 + 1 in a mastermind sense equals 3.
Yeah.
But 1 + 1 + 1, what is that going to equal? Like, how exciting is that? The infinite possibilities that can unfold now.
Absolutely, man. And that's one of the most exciting parts about it.
Yeah. So. And like, people run from that.
Yeah.
Because it's unpredictable. And I'm going to say, if it is predictable, that means you already experienced it. And here you are wanting something bigger, better, different.
Yeah.
Like, you got to step into the unknown.
And there's a lot of realizations that happen too when you really own the identifying part and you're honest about it. It's like, for example, it's not about, like, right now, I think this whole thing is it's not about needing to do something like that, right? It's about wanting to do something because of the opportunity that can be bigger. I mean, just the collective think between everything that's happening under the same roof. I mean, it's exciting to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, okay, that's salt and pepper, man. So yeah.
Well, if you weren't doing things like that,
going back to it. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to hang out with you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's important. Who you surround yourself with matters. Are you surrounding yourself with people that are forward moving, that are taking,
1,000%.
that are giving themselves the opportunity to win, versus looking at it as it's a risk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, good for you, man.
So going back to it, right? Identifying, what that really is, going deeper. I mean, there's a simple exercise, the 5 whys. Okay, why is this concerning to me? Because of X. And then you question that X. You ask, okay, why is X concerning to me? Because of Y. Because of, why is Y concerning me? Yeah. So you keep going deeper and deeper.
What's the fear, really?
Yeah, exactly. You get to a baseline of, oh shit, I was not expecting that thought or that answer. Trust me, your subconscious will spit things at you when you challenge it that will surprise you as you go through
now,
it.
Let me take a stab at this. For you,
Yeah.
going through that process, do you pen to paper that?
1,000%.
Yep.
Right.
There's something to be said about that process, man. When you put pen to paper, that is so revealing.
Yeah.
And it's not thinking about it. It's not typing it. It's pen to paper.
Yeah. It's pen to paper. It's. I mean, there's some magical process behind. And when you write it down, I get surprised about
shocked.
Shocked sometimes about the stuff that comes across.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, okay, cool. I was not expecting that. But it's like having a conversation with your alter ego, man. It's very interesting. Pen to paper, do that, journal. I mean, we can do a whole other episode on that. Multiple episodes, actually.
Guys don't like to do it because they call it a diary. It's journaling.
Yeah, exactly. So you challenge, you push yourself, you write shit down that you're uncomfortable with. Oh, trust me. Like it does things to you. The next thing, right, is evaluate. So to recap on the last 3, first one is awareness. Second one is identifying. The third one is evaluating. Okay, what did you identify, and what are the what kind of what kind of options do you have, right? In my case, was going back and looking at the bigger picture. It's like, okay, this thing makes sense, right? Now the next thing after that was really think about the strategy and the execution. Like, one of the things that we mentioned earlier was, staying in the lanes, right? Like, there's different strengths that people have.
Yeah.
If you're running a shop, you're gonna have a certain strength. It doesn't mean that you have like all the admin stuff dialed in. Maybe, I mean, in my case, I know that's the case. The tasky stuff, it's not like it. I don't enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't feel like I'm the best at it. But you figure out what your lanes are, and then you capitalize on those. Again, you ask yourself the question, okay, am I operating within my lane? Am I operating within and when I say lane, I don't mean that as a restrictive context. I mean it as okay, cool. Is this my zone of genius?
Yeah.
Like, is this where I like to play? Is this where I like to perform?
And it's really simple because some people might say, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my lane of genius. Well, very simple test. Do you create great results with it in that lane?
Yeah.
And if you enjoy the process and your perfect self-expression comes out, you have to manifest, just draw to you excellent results. And it's a lot of fun. That's your lane.
Yeah.
If you would rather like grab your cell phone and cut your wrist with it, that's not your lane.
It's not your lane.
No.
It's not your lane. And if it's something that's out your lane, think who, not how. Who can I bring in? Who can I reach out to? Who's better than me at it?
Yeah.
Who can you delegate to? Who can you empower to help you with that kind of stuff, right? Again, these are basic principles. They're fundamentals of just a regular thought process that it's so easy to forget when we're overwhelmed, when we're feeling the whole world is on top of us. And then, you figure out your strengths, you take action. Now you have, some type of strategy in place. Action, it's kind of like sales, dude. It cures everything.
It really does. It really does. And, some people like to stay in that confusion, in the fog of I don't know what to do. Yeah. And you know what? That's bullshit, and it's a decision. They're deciding to not decide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, again, what's important now? You know the next best step. Even if it's a guess, at least your emotion.
That's key. The next best step.
Yeah,
that's
man.
key. You don't have to have the entire thing.
No matter how small it is.
Yeah.
There is no step that's too small or beneath you.
Exactly. Action. You're gonna get some type of result. Then rinse and repeat.
Yep. There we go.
So super simple. It's a simple framework. It really is. It's a simple framework, simple thought process, and it's linear, right? But it takes you to. I feel like the identifying part is it's what makes the biggest difference, because now when you get honest about that and you work on that, like the rest of the effort is going into that one thing, not something that's off.
But not only that, but it's a bigger version of you showing up to it.
Yeah.
Because you're energetically have a clear intent, like of why you're moving forward now.
Yeah.
And it's excitement and it's opportunity and it's forward moving energy.
Yeah. So. Or maybe it's on the other side of the other side of the pendulum and it doesn't fit. Now you understand that. Now you understand what decision you have to make. Okay, I got to make a pivot.
Yep.
Right.
Cut it.
I got to make a switch. Cut it. Make a switch or something.
Whatever.
And now you have something else, completely different to worry about. But that issue, that one chaotic thing, it's not a problem anymore because you went back to basics.
Yep.
So don't 100%. Be afraid of going back to basics. It's not taking backward steps. It's really not. It's capitalizing on your experience. It's leveraging your experience for your own good.
One last thing I want to say on that. The most important thing after the step one is the last step that you said. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Like some people think that, okay, I went through this process and I found out all these kind of cool things about me and I pivoted. I did all these awesome things and okay, I'm on my way. It's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen on a different level. Like you never rid yourself of certain things. You just experience new layers of them. So the rinse and repeat part, like you better get good because the moment you think you arrived, you're gonna get another opportunity to practice that at a deeper level. So get great at the process.
Ooh, I love that. Get great at the process. Yeah. Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you if they want to pick your brain?
Yeah, JustinThorstad.com, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, social media, or my phone number, 602-348-8534.
Awesome. Fam, I hope you guys liked that episode. I enjoyed it.
That's fun. Yeah.
Can you guys believe it's unscripted? We don't script anything. We're just
organic.
Yeah, organic. That's why it sounds so stupid when we watch it. But it sounds.
Wait, you watch these?
It sounds smart when we're talking about it, and then when I look at it, it's just different. But no, fam, do us a favor, subscribe, like, and share if you haven't yet. And if you think that this may be beneficial to somebody else, send it over. Right? Help us hit a bigger audience. I mean, we do this on a regular for you guys to promote the growth, to empower people. Right? We're men on a mission here. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me. I'm pretty active on social media at Rafael Cortez CEO. So go over there, shoot me a DM, pretty responsive. And with that being said, I think we're good. I think we are good. We're gonna wrap it up, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.